Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the All In Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, David Morse, CEO of Keller Williams Arizona Realty in Scottsdale, with my co-host, Joe Quattrucci, the Director of Growth for the Christian Cole Network and CEO of PCX. Joe, we have with us today someone who I think most of our listeners know, although some of them may not. After this show, you're going to want to follow and get to know him even better. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Ricky Carruth in the house. How's it going, Ricky?
What up, dude? How you doing?
We're doing really good, man.
Hey, thanks so much for being with us today, Ricky. Start us off by telling us a little bit, kind of at a high level, who you are and what it is that you do in real estate.
Oh, man. I mean, where do you begin on that? So, I mean, I don't really know where to start, man. It's such a long journey. You know, I guess I could just say I've been selling real estate for 19 years now. I got in when I was 20. You know, it's been a whirlwind, a lot of ups and downs. You know, there was a point where I had $1 million in my hand at a young age. And then there was a point after that where I was sleeping in my car and eating out of people's refrigerators and roofing houses, working on an oil rig. So, you know, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of struggles, a lot of battles, a lot of wars. And all in all, man, I came out the other side. Like I made it, you know. So long story short, in 2008, when I got back in the business, that's when I realized that a lot of things, I didn't understand everything, but I understood a lot at that point after losing everything, that this business and really all businesses and really life in general is 100% about relationships. It's about people. Money is kind of the byproduct, I guess. It's kind of like an afterthought, basically, of how many relationships you put in place, how many people you've helped, how many people that you've inspired and influenced. That's really what it's all about at the end of the day. That's why I started coaching for free, because when I put it all together and I realized this, it just comes back to humans. You know, it's the same thing with your real estate business. It's not about, you know, quote unquote leads, right? A lead is any human in your market. It's people, right? It's not what a website told me a lead is. All the website did was give me contact information of a human in my market who may or may not be interested in buying or selling anything anytime soon. That's every human in the market. Every human in the market might buy today, might buy tomorrow. So why are we separating the population and saying, here's leads and here's not leads? Everyone's a lead. Same thing with any business, I believe. It's not about the transaction right now. It's about personal brand, right? And building the relationship and showing them who you are and that you're here to help. You know, you're not here to do anything except for what's in their best interest. And when you're in the business of what's in the best interest of people, then you can build a really incredibly large business. And then if you take it a step further and learn how to scale that, right? If you learn how to scale that, then that's where you see some massive results. So yeah, I'm one of these guys, to really break it down really simply. You teach me something one time and that is it. You don't have to tell me again. You don't have to tell me anything else. Just when my dad taught me how to lay shingles when I was a teenager, he showed me one time how to lay that shingle on the line, where to put the nails. That's it. That's all I need to know. Okay. Get out of my way. I'm off to the races. So, you know, with social media, with real estate, with all the, you know, writing books, speaking, all the different things that I've done and I'm doing, it's always a progression where, you know, I'm always maintaining where I am and looking for the next step up rather than taking 5 steps backwards. Now, not to say I've taken a lot of 5 steps backwards many times, but the 5 steps backwards was actually a huge step forward. You know, and it's just a mirage. Like all the negative things people think about the market is just such a mirage, man. Like, for example, competition is a complete mirage. It doesn't exist whatsoever in any capacity. I'd love to hear a debate on that from someone. You know, business is unlimited, right? Closings happen every day, forever. Look at .com crash, 9/11, pandemic, 2008. Closings happened every day by the truck loads, massive amounts of closings during the scariest times in our lifetime. as far as markets are concerned. And I think we're on the front end of an entirely incredibly amazing real estate boom. I think we're on the front end of this thing. A lot of people think we're on the back end of it. I think we're on the front end of it. Doesn't matter either way. It comes back to closings happen regardless. We're in the business of helping people and collecting humans. Why do you think all the huge corporations, right? Zillow, Google's, Apple's, Amazon's, Facebook's, they're all addicted. Their drug of choice is data. They're spending billions of dollars on data. Keller Williams, everybody. It's data, 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 data. Why? And the more people that you have, the more data, and the way that you use that data to build your brand, the bigger your business is. We have to start thinking about our business the same way these corporations are thinking about their businesses. We have to really pay attention to how these big corporations are doing it nowadays and understand we need to be the same way, just on a smaller scale within our each individual real estate businesses. So yeah, man, it's been an incredible ride. And all that kind of brought me, and fate and destiny, boom, I'm right here on your podcast.
It's all been leading up to this moment, hasn't it?
Yeah, everything has led to this moment.
Yeah, exactly. Ricky, I want to take us into that mind shift that happened for you in 2008. You said it was about relationship, and that was a shift that happened. How did you then, what changed in your business when you had that realization? What actually tactically changed from what you were doing before?
When I came back in the business and started building my business a different way, you mean? So, man, there was a lot of things, when I was down and out reading all those books, watching the market, I realized that, I was on an oil rig. Okay. And I'm watching the market and I'm realizing closings are still happening, so that was kind of the first sign, sure, it's down, but there's still something happening. There's still things happening. Then I started to notice that some of my clients that I sold properties to in 2003 and 4 and 5, they were still buying and selling stuff in 2006, 7, and 8 when I was out of the business. So that was a real eye opener to realize, wait a minute, I could have capitalized on this. And if I could have capitalized on that, and if I had more people who knew who I was and, that I really cared and wanted to help them, then I could capitalize on many other people during that time. So all that was big eye openers for me. And I just kind of, like I said, you teach me something once and I got it. So once I saw that, I kind of put 2 and 2 together and realized it just hit me like a ton of bricks. This business is about people, right? And so when I got back in the business in 2008, I got laid off from the oil rig, and I approached the business completely differently. And the conversations I was having with my prospects at that point were just total 180 from how it was before. Before, in the market that was exploding, prices doubled in 2 years. People were selling properties and taking 100,000 off the table and then never contacting me ever again. They were just out. They got their money and ran. There was no need for a relationship at that point to make it during that time. But that's short-lived. And that's why I lost everything and couldn't maintain the business, because I didn't create relationships. I didn't realize that was a short-term mirage of a market. And when I got back in the bit, it was just cold. Back then it was cold. It was like they were selling. I was helping them sell or buy, and it was just a done deal. And then see you later, talk to you never kind of deal. And it was just cold, right? When I got back in the business, I realized I need to know why people are doing what they're trying to do. I need to get to know people. I need to let them know I care. I need to build a database. I need to market to these people. I need to build a personal brand. And the conversations I was having with people at that point was completely different. It was like I'm talking to family, and you could feel that they knew I cared, and I could feel that they cared about me. And it was just a completely different ball game. I felt completely connected and bonded with my clients, unlike before I lost everything and the way that I built my business the first go around. It was a completely different ball game. And I started to realize I really had something there, because I started to see the future. Because in 2008, when I got back in, there were tons of foreclosures. And there were these foreclosure agents that were getting all the deals. And it was such a resentful thing. Like, everybody was jealous of these agents because they were getting all the listings, because foreclosures pretty much was all the listings just about there in that time. And they were knocking down 30, 40, 50,000 a month. And it was like, man, I need to get in on this. Okay. So I start looking at banks, and I start reaching out, and I start trying to figure out REO, and I start trying to fit myself into the equation a little bit. And real quickly, I learned this is a rat race. Like what you have to do, the hoops you have to jump through, everything they make you go through to actually become the REO agent, do all the BPOs, and then turn around, they give you foreclosure, and then you got to do all, it's just, no, not at all. So I said, you know what? These foreclosure agents that I call for my buyers, they're not answering their phone ever. They never answer the phone. And I'm thinking, what is that? What is that? What kind of service is that? What makes them so special? Like, well, they didn't have to answer the phone. They knew they were going to get every listing from the bank, and they didn't have to answer their phone. They knew it was going to sell, and they were going to make their money. And I said, bingo, right? Those agents are going to be out of business as soon as foreclosures go away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to represent all the buyers on these foreclosures, create relationships. Whereas in 3 years, when the prices go back up and foreclosures go away, they're going to sell that property with me, upgrade to another property. Now we're 3 deals in. They refer 3 friends to me. Now I'm 6 deals in with this one client. And now all of a sudden in 3 years, I'm going to be the #1 agent in the area. That was my plan. Like that's what went through my head in 2008 when foreclosure agents weren't answering their phones. And I saw how hard it was to be a foreclosure agent as far as like entry to get on the list. Furthermore, I realized that short sales are a much easier method, a much easier path to dealing with, delinquent properties. Rather than trying to go to the bank and become the foreclosure agent, you literally catch the owner before it actually goes to foreclosure, get them as a short sale, right? If that's something they want to pursue, boom, you list it, you sell it. It's a, 2 to 4 to 5, 6 month process. Sometimes back then it was kind of elongated because there were so many going on. It was taking the banks a long time to do it. But that the short sale part of it is so much easier than being the foreclosure agent, and you're maintaining some relationships with these clients. Furthermore, you can get on both sides of a lot of those deals because you literally can price them. There were so many opportunities that I saw during that time, but I called it out. I said, the foreclosure agents will go away. I'll do 6 deals out of 1, and I'll be the #1 agent in the area. Like I planned it all out that way.
I think that's a perfect example of the fact that like skating to where the puck is going, not where the puck is, right? Like having some forethought and foresight into like what's actually coming down the road. And I think that's really valuable to agents nowadays. Don't play to the market of the moment as much as when you're working on your business, go to where the puck's going, right?
Yeah, I think so, because the thing is the market has momentum. Okay, the market has momentum. So markets can stop on a dime and go the other way, sure. But a lot of times, like when the pendulum swings, like it's not like right now, for example, everybody's like, oh, I'm scared that, the market's so topped out and, it could crash any second and stuff like that. No, there's no way right this second. There's so much momentum going this way. It would take so much drasticness to get that pendulum, headed back the other direction. And so there is a bit of telegraphing in the market, like you can even see the market as it starts to shift. Even the pandemic that gave us this really sharp turn where it was like all of a sudden, that one was still kind of predicted, like the way that everything kind of went down. It was so, I put a video out mid shutdown, and I was like, the real estate market is going to surge like we've never seen it before as soon as they reopen the market. May 1st happens, they reopen the economy, and boom, we saw the largest real estate surge we've ever seen since they started, measuring the statistics. Like you can really, if you really take a step back and you look at the fundamentals of the entire market, you can really see which way that puck's going. If you're just not so, but at the same time, you never, ever, ever want to try to predict the market to your clients. You never want to say, oh, well, it's going to be up this much in 6 months, or it's going to go down, or it's this or that. I never try to tell my clients what I think the market is going to do even tomorrow, because we don't know. Right. But in the back of your mind and, on the back end, behind the scenes, you want to pay attention and you want to have your own little assertion of which way you think that puck's going. Right. And you get better and better at that. Once you've been through a lot of these market turns and twists, you get better and better at it. And, you're able to play off that, with your experience. So that's one thing I love about what I'm doing with giving away everything for free. I try to, with all my experience, let the whole world know what I think about, the future of the market, not letting my clients know, just kind of trying to help agents understand, which way this thing's going from my point of view with all the experience I have with all the different markets.
Ricky, you've mentioned a couple times that you're the kind of person that can see something once, or somebody shows you something once, and then you get it, you pick it up, and you start to execute. I'm curious to hear your opinion on how that concept applies to agents in the industry and whether or not they succeed or fail. I see a lot of the content you put out is trying to help newly licensed agents get into production and begin their sales cycle. Why do you think so many agents do not succeed? Is it a matter of not knowing the fundamentals or not being willing to execute the fundamentals?
It's different for everybody. There's a high turnover rate, in real estate. And, a long time ago, bro, I quit trying to figure out when somebody comes into the business, who's going to succeed and who's not, because I've had people that come in and it's like, wow, you have it all. You have work ethic, gift of gab. You're good with numbers. You're good with contract. You're good with people. You want it. You're motivated. You're young. You're ready. You're savvy. And they come in and they sell one property in 8 months and quit after a year. And I'm like, wow, what happened? And then it'll go the other way where somebody comes in and I'm like, are you Honey, I Shrunk the Kid's dad? And next thing I know, they've got 30 listings in their first month. This is a true story, like 30 listings in their first month. And I'm like, so I quit trying to figure out like who's going to succeed and who's not. There's an it factor. There really is an it factor, and like, if you don't believe 100%, some of these agents, newer agents that come to me, they're 6 months in and they're still having doubts about this and that. I'm like, man, because with a 90% failure rate, it's like, if you have any kind of doubt whatsoever, there's a high chance that you're going to be a statistic at that point. There's a high chance you're going to be a statistic at that point if you're limiting believing yourself and having these doubts. That's tough. But to answer your question, as far as like understanding the fundamentals or just not executing or whatever the case may be, it's different for everybody. I can't put my finger on what it is, because every single person is different, and everyone's path to success and everyone's real estate business is like a fingerprint, right? No two businesses are the same, period. End of story. There's so many, there's personalities, there's tones, there's body language, there's strategies, there's techniques, there's timing, there's this, there's that. Even if you have the same agents cold calling the same subdivisions, somebody changes their mind 5 minutes later, or you can't duplicate anyone's success. All you can do is, as a new agent, try to take a little bit from here, a little bit from there, try to weed through all the BS, right? Because that's 90% of it, it's BS. And try to get to what you think the truth is, and then you got to go all in, leave it all on the table.
Yeah, and I want to transition quickly to the zero to diamonds, because that's a big part of your brand and what you do. And all of your social media, you are the free real estate coach, and you offer free guidance again to any real estate agent. I'm curious to know what brought that idea about. Why did you decide to start coaching other real estate agents for free, which is obviously the big piece that's different than what a lot of other coaches are doing by charging money? What caused you to make that decision?
Well, I tried a lot of things, right? I started out charging a little bit. I kind of, weaseled my way through a couple different models and tried to figure it all out. And the reason why I started coaching in the first place was that the year I wrote the 2 books I started coaching was year 3 of me selling 100 properties a year, right? Last year was year 7 in a row. And this was year 3. And after 3 years of 100 deals a year, I was like convinced that what I'm doing is something I need to share with people, because it's different. And it's completely different than any of the other coaches out there. I still don't know any coach out there that's really teaching what I teach. I see some of them trying to knock it off just a little bit, but they're not even going all in with what they're not even doing it like I do it. And so the reason why I decided to do it in the first place was for a few reasons. A, I definitely wanted to share with the world what I was doing just to see who it could help. B, when I looked at the real estate coaching industry, there was just I actually had a paid coach for just a second and realized what it was. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. This is horrible. And you've got coaches out there taking advantage, man. They're taking new agents and having them put coaching on credit cards and going in debt over coaching, just the coaching expense, not even counting expenses that you really need for your business. And then you get them in, and they get them in there and they're teaching them crap. It was just, it was tough for me to watch, sitting back watching. So, there was a lot of reasons that made me do it, but one of the biggest, now this is what really drove me to actually, decide to try to look for something. Let's just say this is something outside of real estate sales. Okay. Why did I look for something other outside of my real estate business? Because I got bored. You sell 100 properties a year for 3 years, you're on top of the game. It's like, okay, I conquered, this is what else, what's next kind of deal. I was bored. Literally bored. And well, here's the thing. I've always had two jobs. When I was a teenager, I'm going to school and I'm working. When I'm out, I'm going to college and I'm working. I was roofing houses and serving tables. I was doing this, and I've always had two jobs. When I was only selling real estate, I was literally selling real estate like it was two jobs, because I was working until midnight. And I was also doing a lot of research and trying to figure it out. That was a job in itself, self-development of how to succeed. And then once I got to that pinnacle and got to where I had all the momentum I needed to crush those 100 deals and make $1 million effortlessly, then I have all this time on my hands. All this time on my hands. What am I going to do now? And I was like, I'm going to write this book. I started writing the book, literally, it was like 2010. Okay. So 2010, I literally start writing the book. And I started it, wrote a couple chapters, threw it away, wrote a couple of chapters, threw it away, started over about 12 times over the 6 years that it took me to write it. And every time I started, it was better and better each time. I was a little bit better writer. I had a little better ideas. It was better and better and better. And by the time I got to the last one, it was right after I spoke for the very first time in Mississippi at a huge Remax event. It was the first time I ever spoke. And I didn't know how the crowd was going to react. Afterwards, there was agents lined up around the building to talk to me and ask me questions. And it was my first speech. I was nervous. It was wild, real wild. I was sick. I was sniffling. I was nervous. I was the keynote of like 8 great speakers and like huge crowds, like nuts. And but the response afterwards, I was like, wow, I need to finish this book, because I was halfway through at that point. This is 2016. I need to finish the book. This is something people need, So I just, one day at a time, man, one day at a time.
Awesome. So you talk a lot about your email newsletter, right? Anyone who follows you has probably heard you say something about that. But I want you, you've talked about database, you've talked about relationships. Clearly, your email newsletter and the consistency of it has been key in helping you to cultivate those relationships. Tell us a little bit about why is that so magical? Why has that been magic for you? And how, if I'm an agent, can I implement that strategy into my business?
Well, okay, so I've been doing the weekly email every Wednesday since 2007, and it's the foundation of everything. So if you go back to 2007, what was happening? Why did I start doing this email? Well, there was all these foreclosures at the time, and I kept getting messages from prospects saying, hey, nice to meet you, this and that. Look, I really love a weekly list of the foreclosures. And I heard that over and over and over again. I'd love to see a weekly list of foreclosures, a weekly list of foreclosures. So I just gave them what they wanted. So I started sending this weekly list of foreclosures to this particular group of clients who asked for it, right? And after a couple of weeks, I was like, well, I'm just going to send this to everybody in my database, because I'm sure everybody would like to know what the foreclosures are. So then I started sending the foreclosures along with a little market information, like prices are up, or, prices are down, or whatever. And I started doing little things. And after a while, the foreclosures went away, and it just I kept doing it as more of a market report kind of thing. I still do it myself every week. That's the magic of it, is that it's out of my mind. It's out of my brain. It's my opinions. It's what I think they want to know. I'm typing it. It's all me. It has a little bit of me in it. And that's what makes it work. It's not the automated stuff. The drip campaigns and stuff is, I mean, come on, it's people want personalization. There's so many robots out there. When people get those automated messages and they get the same message from 4 agents with the same subject, and it's literally how to cook shrimp etouffee in the fall because, there's more buyers and we need to paint our walls gray because that's what's selling these days. Nobody's even opening those emails or care, or they don't have time to actually read a novel either, right? They want short, sweet, to the point. You think about email and you think 90% organic reach, right? 90% of the people on that list are going to see it in their inbox, right? Impressions, okay? Whether they open it or not, they saw it, okay? Versus a 1, 2, 3, 4% organic reach on some of these social media platforms. You got let's just say 10% to be really nice on social media versus 90% on email. Sure, let's do social media too, but I'm going to build the foundation of my personal brand on email. And then I'm going to stack my social media on top of the email, right? The email needs to be the foundation. And every week on the same day of the week forever shows them how dependable you are, shows them how consistent you are, hardworking, professional, honest, all the above, everything that they want in an agent. When they see that email every week in their inbox, it's proving to them over time who you really are, right? And then they open it and they see that it's a personal message from you, that you personally wrote it. It's what wins. I mean, it's just what wins. So I could go on and on and on about the weekly email and how incredibly important it is, in your business and everything else. Speaking of Zero to Diamond, there's a lesson called Ricky's Weekly Email at zerotodiamond.com in the free course. There's a tutorial where I screen share my computer and build an email and talk about it the whole time. There's also a short video about weekly email ideas that I came up with for people that need content for the weekly email. And there's also a link that goes to all the emails I've sent, the exact emails I sent to my clients for the last 2 or 3 years. And you can literally look at every single email I've done for the last 2 or 3 years and get ideas, right? So I think that's an incredible resource for people who are thinking about doing something like that, to try to up their game a little bit, because everybody that's done it and thousands of agents have done it. I mean, I get nothing but great feedback from the agents saying this is a game changer.
I think if nothing else, what you hit on that I love so much is that just the consistency of that shows who you are as a person, right? And I think sometimes agents undersell that. They undervalue that everything I put out, if I'm doing it in cadence, right? Like Joe's from the Marines, you get that word cadence, right? When you do things with a cadence, it does something to the minds of those people that are seeing it. And that's what you're saying, and it produces results. I think that's so important.
Yeah, and the other piece I'm picking up on as you're talking, Ricky, is this idea of there is, in fact, plenty of business to be had. I mean, you're giving away all of your insights, your ideas, your email templates. I mean, you're giving the world everything that you do because you're clearly not intimidated by the fact that there might be an agent across the street or in the next town over that's going to come in and steal your business. And that goes back to the foundational principle of the relationships. Yeah.
Funny thing you say that, man. I back in 2017 when I went completely free, as far as unlimitedness and, willing to share everything with the world and stuff. Tell me if you guys think this is crazy. All right. 2017, here I am. Now, since 2014, mind you, I'm the top agent out of all companies in the entire county. Okay. Just single agent, crushing all the teams, everybody. So here I am, 3 years of being that. And I literally take everything, all the Zero to Diamond, everything I'm doing. I take all the emails of every single agent in my county in MLS and just plug them into my coaching program where they start getting all my emails, all the YouTube videos, my entire playbook, all my strategies, everything that I'm doing, literally giving it to my direct competition in my market. Okay. Your thoughts?
Yes, most people would definitely agree that's crazy. And it is, I mean, obviously a very bold move, right? You're in theory training the competitors across the street.
Well, number one, listen, not to sound cocky or arrogant, but I needed a little competition, right? Just kidding, man. Just kidding. Now, the reason I did it is because I'm all in. I'm all in with the fact that business is unlimited forever. You know, I was all like completely committed. Like I completely convinced myself that there's just too much business. Like we need more agents. You know what I mean? Like you can't do everything, that you can't help every single person that needs help. You know, it's just impossible. If there was an entity that could do all the business, listen, you know, hey, maybe I eat my words one day, but look, I believe that we would already be gone. Okay. If there was something that could take us out, we would already be gone. There would be one entity doing all the deals like people want to. There's plenty of people that say, oh, I'd love to just knock real estate agents out of the game and just make all that money. But it's impossible, right? Because why? It's too massive. It's too massive. It's too complicated. There's too many moving parts. There's too much personality and emotions involved. And there's the market is a crazy animal. It changes every day, you know? So yeah, no, it's I literally gave my entire playbook to every single agent around here. And I had agents in my office that were mad at me, quit talking to me. I had family that was like, what are you doing? You know, you're literally taking, you know, food out of your family's mouth and food off the table and stuff. And I was like, okay, you know, but here again, the puck's moving that way, right? And I saw the future and I saw what exactly happened. What happened? I have much more respect of everyone in the area. I've sold more property since I started doing this. My businesses went up, not down. I haven't lost any clients due to this. People are out there succeeding in my market because of the stuff I'm sharing, and that makes me happy. And it's not taking anything away from me, you know? So I don't know. I think differently when it comes to that.
Well, I mean, it's such an abundant mindset, and I think that's why, that's why we're like attracted to what you put out, because it's something that, I mean, it makes a big impact. Now, I want to ask you, Ricky, about you know, leverage, burning the wick from both ends, so to speak, because, dude, you're still in production. You're running this massive coaching business, your brand. You have a family. I mean, just recently, I think you finally took a couple days off with your family and shared that. How do you do it? How do you answer every DM? And if I'm an agent and I'm like, I want to be like Ricky, like, what do you have to say to them?
One day at a time, right? One day at a time. I'm 19 years in this, right? It's just one day at a time. I mean, you're okay, Mr. Agent, you're 2 years in and you're wanting to be me, and I got 17 years on you. You know, it's not a comparable. It's not apples to apples. You know, you got to look. What you have to understand is a book called The Slight Edge. Okay. And everybody wants to have the slight edge. It's literally compounding efforts that add up over time that end up being huge. That it's literally the essence of what I do, man. It's everything that I do is right there in that book, The Slight Edge. It's the little things every day that add up and accumulate over time. You know, that's how you get to a place where I am. But look, if you think this is crazy, give it another 5 years, give it another 10 years and see where I'm at, because like I'm looking at 5 years out, I'm looking at 10 years out, and I see, just like I saw that I was going to be the top agent because the foreclosure thing, just because I saw that, you know, helping agents in my area was a good thing, not a bad thing. Just like I saw, you know, where this coaching thing would go by being free. I see where all this is going over the next 5 years, 10 years. And it's places that we never even dreamt possible, you know, like I imagine giving enough value to the world to make $1 billion, right? Like I literally see myself making $1 billion. It's not even a far-fetched deal at all. Not at all. And it's because it's not the dollars. It's basically you're trading that for how many people you've helped. You're trading that for how many people you've influenced in a positive way. And I heard the old cliche Jim Rohn quote. It may be Zig Ziglar. I've heard it over and over and over again. I heard it this morning. You know, it's just like something like, all you have to do to get what you want is help enough people get what they want. Right.
Right.
I forget if it was Zig or if it was Jim Rohn, that said that, but it's like, if you to get what you want, all you have to do is help enough people get what they want. And it goes back to when agents or people in general in business and life and success, they're not where they want to be in life, right? And they start complaining and they're frustrated and they're this and that. I look at them and I say, look, it's not anybody's fault but your own. And what you haven't realized is that you've had a preconceived notion of how much effort that you thought you were going to have to put in to get this certain results. But why are you the God, or why are you the one who actually sets the amount of effort that you need to put in to get a certain result? You have no control over how much effort, and you have no idea how much effort it's going to take to get there. Here's the problem. You haven't put in enough work yet. And they're like, I've been doing this, I've been doing that, I've been, doing all this crazy stuff. Not enough, right? Welcome to the club. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, welcome to the club. Go back to the grindstone. You got a long way to go. You think you've done enough. You hadn't even done you're at the tip of the iceberg for how much effort you got to put in to get where you want to go. Don't have a preconceived notion of how much effort you think you need to put in to get to a certain result, because you have no idea until you've actually done it.
That's wow. Listen back to that last minute and a half, and if you're 1, 2, 5, even 15 years in, and you're thinking to yourself, man, I just I deserve something. As you were talking, Ricky, that's kind of what I was going into, like this mentality that the world owes you something because of the effort that you've put in. And the fact of the matter is, the market, the world, business doesn't owe you a thing. It doesn't owe you a thing, right?
Nothing,
right?
Nothing.
Like,
people
you wake
are frustrated.
Up, you wake up and you put in the work, and if it requires more work, you put in more work. If that's what you're truly after. And I think that's part of agents we talk to all the time. Are they really committed, or are they just interested, right? And that difference between being interested and committed.
You got to find peace with where you are right now, right? Without being at the level you want to be. You got to find peace at the level that you are at, right? While maintaining this extreme hunger and motivation to get to the next level, right? But there's got to be that peace, though, of where you are right now, because it could always be worse. There's people out there that are in way worse shape, right? They don't have the skill set. They're, just starting the process. Or, hey, dude, listen, come. Let's take a time shuttle back in time, and let's go where there was no dialers, there was no red X, there was nothing to look up phone numbers with the click of a mouse and then dial them and dial 100 numbers an hour and a half. What? Dude, it took me 15 hours to copy and paste addresses in Bigfoot.com and Spokio to get 100 BS phone numbers that definitely weren't as good as the data you get now with the click of a mouse, and then dial them with my finger in my hand for 8 hours, right? And now, and there was no social media. I couldn't DM everybody in my area and say, how are you doing? Nice to meet you. Couldn't do that. Bro, like, you got to find some peace and understand the world that we're living in is such a huge abundance of opportunities, right? You just got to find peace with doing the little things every day, looking at everything on a 3 to 5 year period. And just like living that 5 year out, Ricky, you know what I mean? Like, live like you're 5 years from now, cause for me, it's like, I've already accomplished all these things and want to accomplish over the 5 years. It's done. I'm already done that. I'm living my life like I've already done it, in my mind, as far as satisfaction, because I know that I'm doing the things that are going to add up to that over time. And that's where everybody needs to be, that gray area where you're happy, but yet still motivated.
If there's one thing that's clear from listening to your story, Ricky, it is that you do what it takes, you put in the work, and you think abundantly. I know that's going to come through to all of our listeners, to everyone who hears this. I want to transition us into the last quick segment of our show. It's called 3, 2, 1 Action. It's the same 3 questions we ask every guest. You ready to go?
Ready.
All right,
Ricky. Number 1, who's the one person who has had the biggest impact on your business development?
The one person?
The one person.
Really, in fact, it's a toss up. I'll give it a toss up. I got my dad. He's probably the top, right? He was a roofer, and what he taught me was about, like, he would roof houses, and he would roof houses for these builders who weren't very nice to him. They would underpay him. They wouldn't treat him necessarily the best as far as humanitarianly goes. And I said, Dad, why are you even working for this person? And the way that he answered the question made me realize a lot. And it really comes back to almost my relationships over transaction thing. He's just like, but think about all the business we get from this person. It's, and he said, son, it's not about the money. Think about all the jobs we get, from this builder. And the way that he dealt with those people personality wise, it really influenced me a lot. He also told me, never quit a job, just add to it. Right? Never quit a job, just add to it. Right? Think about it. Right? So if you think about my life, go back to the midway through this podcast, I told you I always had 2 jobs. Why have I always had 2 jobs? Because of what my dad, that always stuck with me. Never quit a job, just add to it. I'm always looking for a better job. And if I add to it and I like it better, I can leave the first one. Now I'm got back to 1. Now I'm looking for another one better than the next one I found. And you're always moving up. He also told me that the hurrieder I go, the behinder I get. Think about it. Think about it. The hurrieder I go, the behinder I get, right? And you have to take a second to slow down, and you can actually go faster, right? Sometimes if you slow down for a second, you can actually go faster. So he was the most influential, really, from just childhood things that he said that he didn't even realize he influenced me on. But outside of that, just like influencers and other people outside of my direct family and stuff, I would say some of my brokers were very influential. As far as like podcasts and people I listen to and stuff, Gary Vee is probably the top guy that I've really got the most out of. Grant Cardone is somebody I love. The 10X Rule book. He's somebody that he's going to be on our podcast here, my podcast in about a month.
Awesome.
He's somebody that I like a lot of the stuff he does. I don't like everything he does. But just a hard worker, just a hard worker, so.
Listening to you talk about that, I think you need to do an episode on your dad's isms. Like all your dad's quotes. Like just do a show about those. That's good stuff.
There's definitely a lot of dad-isms, man.
Hey, question number 2. What's the most, other than your own, what's the most influential book you've ever read?
The Slight Edge, Jeff Olson, just hands down. Just the only book I ever read cover to cover twice. Literally read every word in the book twice. Only book I ever did that too. And it's been 10 plus years since I read it. I need to read it again. Like I really need to sit down and read that book again, man, because that's how influential it was. And I know that every time I read it, the 2 times I picked up something different, and I need to read that book again.
We're going to start reading it, and we're going to reach out to you and hold you accountable to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. 3rd question, Ricky. This is, of course, the All In podcast, where we encourage our listeners to take what they've learned from this episode and then go put it into action. And so what's the one thing, what is something that the listeners can go do today and take action on to start moving the needle forward in their business?
I think regardless of what industry you're in, or what your business is, you may think that your business might not necessarily be a voice-to-voice business, or you may think that it's not needed for your business, and you may do well without voice-to-voice in certain industries, so on and so forth. But especially real estate is definitely voice-to-voice. That's the common denominator amongst all closings, right? If you think about it, the one common denominator of all closings, think about it, is a voice-to-voice conversation, right? Is there ever a transaction where there's no voice-to-voice conversation? No, honestly, think about it for a second.
Not that I know of.
Right. I mean,
not that I could ever think of.
I had 1 in 1,000 deals I've done. One where a guy was overseas. He emailed me. We talked about it. We negotiated. We listed. We got under contract. We negotiated through email. I never actually talked to him, and we closed it by mail, the whole 9 yards. And I never actually talked to him. But that's 1 out of 1,000 that I personally did, where I didn't actually talk to someone, but it's if voice-to-voice conversation is the common denominator amongst all closings, okay, then let's reverse engineer ourselves into as many closings as possible. How do we do that? Having as many conversations as humanly possible, period, end of story. So I think that in the world of digital marketing and this new technology, era that we're in, I think that as agents, as real estate agents, really any industry, I'll go back to it. I think that we should get up in the mornings, do our morning routine, schedule our day out between 8 and 8:30. 8:30, we need to be thinking about who we're going to call today, right? Whether it's internet leads, follow-up, circle prospecting, for sale by owners, expired, sphere of influence, past clients. I don't know. But from 9 to 12, you need to be on the phone, period. End of story. You eat lunch and you come back and you do digital marketing the all rest of the day, right? Your weekly email, your social media, your make your videos, do your podcast, do your ads, work on your website, do your SEO, all that stuff, right? Just crush it. DM everybody, respond to all comments, everything, just absolutely be an animal, connect with as many people as you can and collect data. I'm going to go back to what I said in the very beginning and just to bring it full circle. You need to think of yourself as a data collector first and a real estate agent second. When you wake up in the morning, you need to think data collection. How many people can I meet? Collect data. Can I collect data on social media? What do I need to do to collect data over here? How can I meet these people and collect their data and get everybody in your database? It's a base of data. The agent with the largest database that uses it in the right way to build their personal brand wins, right? Data collection first, real estate agent second. And through your journey of collecting data, you're going to run into so many people that want to buy and sell properties right now, right? But more so, you're going to have this massive business in 3 to 5 years that nobody's going to recognize. You're going to be the number one agent in your area out of nowhere, and everybody's going to be asking you how you did it.
Lots of good stuff in this entire episode, Ricky. I know everyone wants to find more of your content. Where can they find you? What's the best place for them to find more of Ricky Carruth?
Just go to any platform and just type in Ricky and then space and the letter C, and then boom, I'll be right there at the top. You just click on that name. Just zeroToDiamond.com is where all the free coaching program stuff is, 90-day action plan, phone scripts, all that stuff. I answer every single message on Instagram. That's the best place if you just want to say hi or reach out and ask a question. I post there every day. I post a podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud and all those podcast places in the world every day. Every morning there's a new podcast 7 days a week. And of course, YouTube and all that good stuff. So anywhere, I'm everywhere.
Ricky, you've inspired Joe and I, and like we started the show, I'm just grateful that we got to spend some time with you. We are excited to sometime host you out here in Scottsdale. All right, so come on out to the sunny desert, and we'll be your connection point. All right.
As soon as the vaccine needle leaves my arm, bro.
All right.
I'm talking like as they're pulling it out, I want to be on the phone like, "Hey, David, Joe, I'm coming." Like, it's gonna be that quick.
All right, Ricky, thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the All In Podcast. As always, go play All In.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the All In Podcast. We want to invite you to find all of today's resources from our show page at aipodcast.co. We also ask that you take just 1 minute to leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. This is how we grow and how we're able to bring you the best content each and every week. Now go play All In.